Red Sox fans have long heard the Boston Red Sox are world champions. This is going to be a tough play. It's over. And the Cubs have finally won it all. 8-7-10.
Woo! Welcome to the best sports podcast on the planet. I am your host, Brandon Combs. As you can see, I am joined tonight by none other than Wayne G of Infinity Sports. Wayne, how's it going, buddy?
What's up, everybody? Best podcast on the planet that doesn't have a video intro. Pretty good.
Best podcast on the planet, period. Best podcast on the planet that has never had a Jesse B. All right, so we've got a great show lined up for you guys. We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. We are going to be talking a lot of football. We're going to be talking football with Professor Leonard, who is going to come on. We are going to do our 3 picks against the spread as well. We're also going to be delving into baseball as that season is starting to get crazy. As a Cubs fan, I am crazy disappointed over their performance over the last week. That offense is not hitting at all. So we're definitely going to dive into that stuff too. But first, as always, is Shop Talk presented by BigDogPoker.net. That's BigDogPoker.net. When you sign up, you deposit your first $50. You use agent code GoCubsGo. That's BigDogPoker.net. Agent code is GoCubsGo. All right, Wayne. So we started off with Shop Talk here. As always, we get the fans engaged. My son always pops up. He's always the first one, always writes in Go Cardinals, and that is a product of Soup Boss. I keep telling him that if he keeps writing it, I'm sending him to Adrian Peterson's house so that Adrian Peterson can deal with that for me. And then Soup Boss yells at me for promoting child abuse, but it is what it is. I know a lot of good things are going on. We've got, NFL tonight. We got Jags and Miami Dolphins. A lot of people are down on having this game like they usually are on the Thursday night games, but I actually think this is going to be a pretty good game.
It'll be uneventful, I guess. I mean, the game itself may be competitive, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. It just means both teams might be equally crappy. And I think that's what we're going to kind of run into is I know Jacksonville's 2-0 and Gardner Minshew is playing out of his mind right now. But I really think that this is just going to be a messy, sloppy, boring game that if it wasn't Thursday night, if this was on Sunday, nobody'd be watching it. Yeah, no.
Look, to me, Gardner Minshew, there's just something about this guy that you can't help but like him. Like when him and Fitzpatrick tells him, I don't know if you heard it over this week. I'm sure you probably did, but Fitzpatrick said guys who grow mustaches they just grow them because they can't grow beards because they got patchy sides. And then Gardner Minshew goes, I won't say too much. I'm going to respect my elders, especially when they're much, much elder. I like a guy like that, man. I like a guy who has nice comebacks, who can say the things that Gardner Minshew says. And look, he's producing right now. Gardner Minshew has not looked bad through the first 2 weeks.
No, I mean, it's the first couple weeks, and again, we'll see what happens long term. I'm not a big believer in his. I know he had 339 yards, whatever it was last week, but I don't know. He also had 2 interceptions. You talk about a guy that it's like, how can you not root for this guy? This is a guy that everybody likes, but he's not great talented. You know who comes to my mind is my boy Tim Tebow, right? I mean, all he does
I brought
is win.
him up last week.
Yeah, all he does is win. But like at the end of the day, do you really want him as your franchise quarterback?
I don't know yet. I don't know. I think the jury's still out on him. And I'm not so sure that he's not a guy that couldn't lead a team. Is he a Russell Wilson? No. I mean, is he a top 10 quarterback? Probably not. But is he a guy that can lead your team and get you some wins? Yeah, I think he could absolutely be a guy who averages 10 wins a season. Now, is that going to be something that you want? Because 10 wins doesn't always translate to playoffs. But I think that he could absolutely be a guy that leads the Jacksonville Jaguars for the next, 7 to 10 years maybe.
Well, I think that we're all going to get a great look at him tonight. I think that, historically, what we know about Gardner Minshew is the mustache because we see it on TV all the time, and we see the stats and the box score. We don't really get a chance to see him play because nobody wants to watch the Jaguars play. Well, you don't have a choice tonight. You have to watch the Jaguars play. So now we're going to find out with everybody watching him, with all eyes on him, is he what the box score says he is?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I always hate, and I hated it week one when everybody said, oh, look at the Patriots. They look so great this week. It's still the Dolphins. So I don't think that the Dolphins are ever a real good test. But you play who's in front of you, and in the NFL, there's no bad opponent in the NFL, and every week, any given Sunday, as they say, anybody can win. So it's going to be fun to watch. I'm excited to watch it for sure. Not as excited as I am, for I don't know, Angels and Rockies or something like that, but I'm gonna watch it.
I will watch the most despicable football game on the planet before I will watch a great baseball game.
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Look, and I get it. A lot of people are like that. I'm a baseball guy through and through, so I'll watch baseball. I'll talk baseball. Baseball all day long. When I'm bored at home and I'm at work and there's nothing to do, the MLB Network goes on the TV. Before I put on ESPN or any of the other channels, it's MLB Network and see what's going on there. So let's see here. What else we got going on? Oh, so this past week I had a high school longtime friend of mine. Her father passed away. And I saw this on her Facebook page the other day where what he wanted to do was he passed away, and don't quote me. I believe it was leukemia. Sharon, if you're watching and I'm wrong about that, let me know, and I will correct that for sure. But he wanted to donate his meds, and one of the things that he always donated to was St. Jude and leukemia research and all that stuff, and he would donate to them every month. And in his will, he wanted people to, they wanted to donate his meds, and he wanted people to donate instead of flowers or anything like that. He wants people to donate. So I'm asking anybody who's watching right now, in memory of Gene Garver, if you would like to donate to the leukemia research, you donate to P.O. Box 98018 in Washington, D.C., 20090. That's P.O. Box 98018 in Washington, D.C., 20090. I'll leave that up for just a little bit. I don't know about you. I don't know if you've ever had anybody who has lost a battle with cancer or leukemia, Wayne. I know I've lost a couple of family members to it. So it's something that's near and dear to my heart. And it's just something that we really need to get a handle on and try to figure out if we can find a cure or at least something to help people battle through this nasty disease.
Yeah, my mom at the age of 53 lost her battle with cancer, yeah. And then her father, my grandfather, Bamp, I don't know, Robert. He lost he had lung cancer, and he was, I think, 61 or 62 when he died. So both really young.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. We here at the show are also going to donate. Triple Shot Sports is going to donate $100 in memory of Gene Garver. So we're going to send that out here tonight and get that going. But anybody who wants to donate, again, that's in memory of Gene Garver to P.O. Box 98018, Washington, D.C., 20090. It's Leukemia Research Fund. They will, obviously, anything you can push through will help, even as a $5 donation. Every little bit counts. So let's see what we can do.
Even if you didn't know Gene, I'd say, because I didn't really know Gene, but I think just the idea of helping fight something that kills so many, and especially with leukemia, I think of kids. And every time I see those St. Jude's or whatever Jimmy Fund commercials where you get those kids, with the bald heads and they're in the hospitals, and they're telling their parents like, "Hey, mom, dad, don't worry about me." I'm sorry. How do you not want to fight against that? That should never happen.
Yeah, I lost my cousin at the age of 6 to leukemia. And it's just something, especially a child, no human being, but especially a child, should have to go through alone. So definitely make that donation here. Again, it's in memory of Gene Garber, P.O. Box 98018, Washington, D.C. 20090. And Sharon, our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. She's got a daughter, too, who's a senior in high school, who is, just lost her grandfather. So sad times and tough times for sure, but we'll try to honor his memory here. All right, so moving on from that, for all you guys that are coming in, Part-Time Nerd chimes in, have you seen My Baseball? Great movie. You got a little bit of something. Oh, no.
Yeah,
you're out of your mind.
Wildly overrated.
Oh, that is not an overrated movie. Dude, when he is flogging the dolphin and comes to the door with something on his ear and she thinks it's hair gel, that is the greatest scene.
It is the Pulp Fiction of comedies. It is
man. All right. So every week we go through and we start talking football here on Thursday nights. Obviously, it's a Thursday night game. It's the first game of the week. So we make our picks and we go against the spread. And as of recent, we did start going off with Professor Leonard, who, to my dismay, did not tell me before we decided to have him on that he actually does another show where he does all the picks against the spreads and has his games to stay away from. Then he texts me, Wayne, and he has a spreadsheet like this damn long of all of his notes for each game. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm just looking at the teams and saying, all right, well, I think this is what's going to happen. And this guy's got a spreadsheet and notes and the numbers, and they worked for him, and they worked for him last week. He went 2-1. I blame James Conner for him going 2-1, but we welcome to the show. Welcome, Professor Leonard. Professor, how's it going, buddy? Oh, the Atlanta Braves. Tomahawk chop. Yeah, we get it. Hey,
good
man,
evening,
look,
everybody. How are you?
Hey, we are good, man. We're excited for some football. Your Braves are looking good. They started to worry me a little bit with their pitching, but they're looking good. My Cubs offense decided to go into COVID-19, hiding or something. They are not producing right now, but
you only need 2 starters for the playoffs.
It's true. We've got 2 pretty good ones, but all right. We're here to talk football, though.
The Braves, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Nice to meet you, sir. How are you?
Very good. Yeah, it's nice to have Brand on the show, and I know he likes having me on here because I'm kind of like the movie expert. That I know everything about movies, and as much as I don't love baseball, I don't hate it. And I was discussing in my show a couple of days ago how I think that Acuna could go 40-40. He just missed it last year. I think he might be the next guy to do it.
Not only you guys still have me, right? Okay.
Yeah, we got you.
Not only is Acuna going to go 40-40 within the next, I give it two years, but Freddie Freeman is getting his first MVP this year. If he doesn't get it, Atlanta is going to riot. It's going to be a crazy riot, and I don't mean to be inappropriate for using that word with the times that we're living in, but give Freeman his MVP. He has been the most consistent National League player for 5, 6, 7 years, and now he's number 1 in 4 different categories, second in 3. I mean, come on, and I'm just saying.
Don't ever apologize for being inappropriate.
MV free. MV. Okay, sorry, I'm done. All right.
Don't ever apologize for being inappropriate, because if I'm going to write about anything, it's going to be baseball before anything else. So
hey, Rain,
I'm with you.
Hey, Rain, guess who took the Colts last week?
Oh, Jesus Christ! Here we go.
Just saying. I told everybody. I said.
He said his crazy pick of the week was the Colts. I told him. I said I was listening to you until you said Colts, and then I put my pen down. And the Vikings have made liars out of me through the first 2 weeks. So
all right, the Lions, but that's okay. Anyways,
no, they haven't. I was not high on the Lions at all. I had them at 7-9 this year.
All right, let's go.
I did not make a liar. All right, so we've got our picks set this week. We've got them set up. We've got 3 games we're going head-to-head in. The first game is going to be – which one do you want to go here? Let's go Ravens-Chiefs. Let's go the Monday night game first.
Okay.
So we got Ravens and Chiefs. Ravens are actually a 3.5-point favorite. Who are you taking, Professor Leonard?
Hang on, I got to pull up my sheet because I didn't think we were starting with that game. You know what I mean? So here we go. All right. Take the two quarterbacks and put them off to the side for a second. Okay? We both know Patty Mahomes, right? We both know Mr. Jackson. We know what they can do on the field. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Take those two gentlemen. Let's move them to the side. Let's look at their weapons. Okay? In my opinion, I think the Chiefs' offense is stronger than the Ravens' offense. Okay? Not just that, but the numbers also show it, right? Passing for the Chiefs are 256. Passing for the Ravens, 244. The run game, again, they're almost identical teams. I say this every week. The way this game is going to go, it's going to come down to the defensive. However, I got to go with the Ravens. I think the Ravens are going to cover with the 3.5 because Chiefs have given up a total of 432 yards on offense versus the Ravens 326 yards. So I believe this is going to be a defense game. This is actually one of my games that I'm telling people to stay away from. I don't like the spread, but because of our arrangement here, I'm going to take the Ravens with the negative 3.5.
All right. So last week we went head-to-head, and we didn't pick any games the same. Not one. All three were different. This week, we're already starting off bad because I am taking the Ravens, and I'm giving up the points as well. I think that the Chiefs last week against the Chargers, they did not show up. They did not show up well. I think that was an aberration. I don't think that's something that's going to happen. I think they ended up going up against a quarterback they did not have time to game plan for because they weren't expecting their starting quarterback to get punctured lung by the doctor, which is another crazy thing we'll talk about later. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I think that the Ravens are a better team. I think that I have the Ravens in the Super Bowl. I have them beating the Chiefs. And I haven't beaten the Chiefs this week. This is one of the 3 losses that I had the Chiefs have in this season. So I'm sticking with that, and I'm going with the Ravens.
I have the Ravens in the AFC playoffs, but my AFC playoffs may look a little different than yours. If we can just remind all the viewers at home, this is the same gentleman that also put the Cubs and the Angels in the World Series. But we'll just leave that there. Okay?
All right. So, Wayne, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, I understand your guys' logic. I mean, if it was me personally, I would take the Chiefs, and only because you guys were saying that the quarterbacks are basically neutralized, right? One hand washes the other. We're not even going to look at those guys. So it comes down to, like you said, the defensive, but it also comes down to the running game and the controlling the clock. And I love J.K. Dobbins, I really do, and I do like Lamar Jackson. I don't think they want to run him as much as he does run. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the real deal at running back. I think in 2 years he could be the best running back in the NFL, and I think that he's going to control this game so that Lamar Jackson doesn't get on the field, and you add that with the dynamic passing ability and the weapons that Patrick Mahomes has, I do think the Chiefs are going to win this one probably by 10 points.
Oh, wow. All right.
Wow, 10 points?
Yep.
Michael Buckheister chimes in, and Buckheister says Ravens are better September to December 31st.
or until they have to play the Titans.
All right. So let's get to the next one here. The next one here, we've got Pats and Raiders, and Wayne, I admitted this last week. I was not high on the Patriots. And after watching them, even though they lost on Sunday Night Football against the Seahawks, I was very impressed with them. I was mostly impressed with the way Cam Newton performed after being down after they had that go-ahead score with about 4.5 to go. I was like, well, this is where Cam Newton normally implodes anyway, and this is where he starts, misbehaving on the sidelines and all this other stuff that he does. And he came back, and to his credit, he was 2 yards away from, running it in himself and taking that game. And I thought that the clock management was poor. I thought the play call was poor. So I don't really put that one on him, and I think they'll rebound from that. So we got Pats Raiders this week. Raiders are 5.5-point underdogs. And in this game, these two teams, to me, Professor Leonard, are so close and are so much alike that I just can't give up that many points. I just can't. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Raiders plus 5.5 on this one.
Right.
Are we going 2 for 2?
We're going. Well, hang on. Let's
You gonna
just
try to talk
stop
yourself out of it?
I'm gonna try to talk myself out of it. Okay. Rain, if you don't know, I am a numbers guy. Okay. I am an actual professor in real life. That's why they call me Professor Leonard. Okay. I believe that numbers don't lie, and when they do lie, it's a very small margin, right? It's a very small percentage. Again, going back to the numbers, when you're looking at the run game, okay, you know, people, as a Titans fan, everybody says, well, you can't give Derrick Henry the ball, you know, for the whole game and run it down the field. Well, it's very obvious that we've learned you can't give Cam Newton the ball on the goal line because everybody knows what's going to be coming. With that being said, I have to look at the numbers, and this is where the numbers are going psych, okay, because the Raiders and the Patriots, believe it or not, are even in the total number of rushing yards allowed. Okay, that's crazy. That right there is a crazy stat to me. Okay, so then we got to look at the passing yards, and what's interesting, the Raiders have given up 290 passing yards versus the Patriots 239 passing yards. Okay, so with all that being said, unfortunately, we're going to tie again. I do not think the Patriots are going to cover. I also do have the Raiders. This is actually one of my locks of the week. I just think that Raiders have too much momentum, right? And the team is just what was the name of the gentleman who was on with you last time who said it's all about the team that gets hot at the right time? Unfortunately, I think the Ravens are getting hot at the wrong time. They're hot right now. I do hope that they stay hot, you know, for the franchise. However, I do not see the Patriots covering. And, again, I think the Raiders are hot at the wrong time.
Okay.
And I was talking to Brandon before the show. I said, I actually think that the Patriots do cover. I said, I think that.
So we're going against him this week, right? So is this what it is?
And I was saying, because my thing was it's just a bad matchup for the Raiders in the sense that the New England Patriots, I think, do have the top defense in the NFL. Maybe not numbers wise because of the game they just had, giving up 5 touchdowns, whatever, is Russell Wilson. But a lot of that comes from the fact that the Seahawks scheme is a problem for that defense because they like to play a lot of man to man and they're forced to play a lot of zone, which they aren't used to doing. So going up against the Raiders don't have a mobile quarterback that can make them play zone. So the Patriots can stay in man-to-man the entire game, and I don't think that the Raiders have the type of receivers that can beat those defensive backs. Now, I think Henry Ruggs is fantastic. He's fast. But I think overall, though, that team lacks the necessary, whatever it is, skill set to beat that defense. And so for that reason, and seeing Cam Newton throw for almost 400 yards against the Seattle defense, which is actually a pretty solid defense, and that Raiders defense is not as equipped as Seattle was, I think the Patriots are going to put up a lot of points. I think they're going to stop Josh Jacobs, and I don't think Derek Carr is going to have a very good game against that secondary.
All right. I actually almost agree with him, but for some reason, I just don't think the Patriots are going to go.
I think Derek Carr is more mobile than you give him credit for, Wayne.
Well, I'm not saying he's a slug, but I'm just saying he's not Russell Wilson.
No, but he's sneaky. He's sneaky quick. So I don't know. I think the Patriots are probably going to win the game outright. I just have a problem giving up that many points. I think it's going to be one of them 2-point games that we end up with. So, but yeah. So all right. So we're 2 for 2 here. Steelers Texans now. I'm gonna let you go first here.
That was my pick.
That was your pick, so you get to go first. Man, I think we're not the same.
So, Rain, one of the new rules that we added in after Sunday is that whoever wins the previous week can pick at least one game, right, for the next week. I picked the Texans versus the Steelers. I actually hate this game, and I'll tell you why I hate this game. All right? I wanted to throw in a wrench because they threw me a wrench last week, and I wanted to repay the favor to them. Hang on, let me just pull up my notes here. Okay, again, going by the numbers, Texans have given up when you look at these numbers, right, it's just crazy, right?
The Texans have also played the Chiefs and the Ravens in the first 2 weeks.
Cool. So they're giving up 405 yards. 207 of those were passing, and 198 were those were rushing. The Steelers have only given up 277 yards passing and 66 yards rushing. So with that being said, do you still have them at -4, right? Steelers at -4.
Yeah.
I think it's going to. I think that spread is just almost right for me to jump on board. And oh man, I'm talking myself out. Don't talk yourself out. I don't think the passing game for the Steelers are going to win this game. I think the rushing is, and for that reason, I'm going to take the Steelers at -4.
All right. So the third game, we do not have the same. I'm taking the Texans, and I am taking the points. I think the Texans had a raw deal the first 2 weeks. They had a tough schedule. Ravens and Chiefs. I mean, anybody who's got those two teams back to back are going to struggle. The Steelers are really good. I like the Steelers. I like what Ben's doing. Connor's having a hell of a season so far. And you're right. The Texans just give up a lot of yards on the ground.
Sorry, I'm watching the game.
I also think that the Texans are poised to do to Pittsburgh's defense what they do to a lot of defenses, and that's rack up yards and put up points. I think that this is going to be one of those 3-point games down to the wire. It's going to be one of those games that not a lot of people saw coming, and I think the Steelers need a field goal to win it at the end. So I'm going to take the Texans, and I'm going to take the points.
So I was also leading Texans until I saw who is questionable this week. And I'm sorry, but you got Brendan Cooks, who's still questionable. Duke Johnson, who like you said did play against the Ravens and the Chiefs defense. He's also questionable, and also the linebacker Peter. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. I'm going to say Peter K. Right?
Yeah.
I just think that for their offensive weapons, again, that's why I said it's going to come down to the defense and the running game, and I think the Steelers' running game is going to outplay the Texans' passing game.
Well, we got one game that we're going head-to-head in. So that's all right. So here we go. So we got Steelers. You've got Steelers -4. I've got Texans +4. So that's where we're going. All right. So you've got your 3 – you say you do your 3 locks and your 3 games to stay away from. So let these guys know what they should be betting their money on. Who are your 3 locks?
I don't have it ready yet. I tried all afternoon. No, because 4 of the spreads have already changed.
Yep.
So what if I do this? What if we post it tomorrow afternoon? I will PM you my locks, and I will PM you the 3 games that you should just stay away from. Do not touch that game. Just walk over. Strike out beer. Anyways, I will PM you those, and then you can post them on the page for people. Normally I do have those ready, but there's 2 of my locks and 1 of my stay away from. The margins have already changed, or the spread has already changed. So there's some more numbers that I have to.
All right, so PM me that, and then I'll get that out to the fans so that we can make some bets this weekend.
Just to say this, for those of you who are looking at the Colts and the Jets game, all I'm going to say is this: magic or lightning doesn't strike the same spot twice. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Hey, look, that game, that's a huge margin too. I think the Colts are
10.5 points.
Yeah, I saw 11.5 when I looked at it just a few minutes ago.
No, it dropped down to 10. Oh no, it was at 10.5, and then it went up to 11.5.
Yeah,
Colts are favored by.
That's too many points to give up in the NFL.
It is.
I don't even. But the Jets are hot garbage. So
that's Sully's rule of thumb on my show. He said, anytime a team gets double-digit points, take the points.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. I have a hard time giving up more than 7. For me, giving up more than 7 sometimes is tough. In the NFL, it's too much. So, all right, Professor. Well, we'll see how we do, and we'll have you back on Sunday, and we will talk about the games, and we will see you there. Hopefully, we have another great slew of games, and just as many surprises as we had first 2 weeks.
So I just want to end with this. I'm actually looking forward to the Bears and the Falcons game. I'm really excited to see which 7 minutes of the game that Mitchell Trubisky is going to play in. Hopefully it's in the fourth quarter because we know that the Falcons just
mark this down. By halftime of this game, Nick Foles will be the Bears quarterback.
Really? You think it's time?
It's time.
You know, it's funny that you say that. I have week 4 as when Tua's going in.
Yeah. See what happens tonight against Jacksonville. They lose against Jacksonville. You're probably right.
But the problem with this, and Rain, please interject, right, is that Fitzpatrick is doing just enough, right, to keep the games close enough, right, and keeping himself relevant that they're not putting Tua in. But it's like you said. Those amount of points that they're scoring and, his stats need to now transition into actual wins, right?
Yeah.
So that's what needs to happen now. So I do believe that tonight, even though he has had 2 good games based off stats and keeping the margin of the score pretty slim to where the Dolphins did have a chance to come back.
Yep.
If he doesn't get a W tonight, I either see him possibly starting next week, but if the first half's not doing well, Tua might be making his NFL debut next week.
Man, that'd be interesting. I can't wait to see Tua in the NFL. I'm not a big supporter of God. Now his name's going to escape me over there in Arizona.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Kyler Murray. I'm not a big Kyler Murray guy. I think he's just too small. I think eventually the league's going to figure him out. So I'm very interested to see Tua because Tua's the same type of quarterback. It'll be interesting to see.
He's 5 inches taller.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Kyler Murray's 4'7", so 5 inches taller still isn't really that tall.
I am just leaving that conversation alone, and all I'm going to say is go Burrow. Okay, that's all I'm going to say right there.
All right, Professor. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you Sunday, bud.
Bye, guys.
All right, so that's Professor Leonard. Man, I can't believe we had 2 of the same picks. That's disappointing. We're going to have to do something different next week.
Like I said, when me and Sully did it, we had every single pick was exactly the same except for 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really are taking an educated approach to it, and both of you guys are doing that, you're probably going to have a lot of the same picks.
Michael Thompson, what's going on? Michael Thompson from the 3 Guys Sports Breaks on Facebook. And catch this guy out. If you guys join their room, that's where I get a lot of my autographed gear here. Like the Saquon Barkley actually came from Michael Thompson. And a couple other things came from Michael Thompson that I have for autograph memorabilia. Great prices and just a great room. They run a really great room. All the people in that room are a lot of fun. That's actually where I met Professor Leonard. So definitely give those guys a look. That's 3 Guys Sports Breaks on Facebook. All right, so we did our 3 picks. Now let's get into the NFL slate for week 3, okay? So the NFL slate for week 3 has a lot of interesting matchups, especially when it comes to the spread. The first of which we're going to start with is tonight, actually, even though the game has already started, there's no scores, so we still got time to make our spread predictions. Tonight, the Jags are favored by 2.5. Who did you take in this game tonight?
I took the Jaguars. I think they win this one outright. When you look at that Miami defense, they're giving up 5.1 yards per carry. Jacksonville is averaging 5.1 yards per carry on offense. So they're not going to have to throw the ball a lot, but if they do have to throw the ball, I believe Miami's also allowing opposing quarterbacks to complete 72% of their passes, and Minshew's completing 75% of his passes this season. So all things point to the Jaguars winning this game.
I agree. I took the Jaguars and I gave up the points. And as you made your pick, Ryan Fitzpatrick threw the first touchdown of the game, and it's 7-0 Dolphins. But no, I took the Jags and I took the points too. I'm a big believer in Gardner Minshew. As we talked about earlier, I think Gardner Minshew can actually be the Jaguars quarterback for the next 6 to 7 years. A lot of people don't see that. But I think he could be their franchise quarterback, absolutely. So I took the Jags and I took the points. So let's get to Sunday. Now, this one here is near and dear to my heart. This is my Chicago Bears and the Atlanta Falcons. They kick off at noon on Sunday. Wayne, who'd you take?
I took Atlanta +4. I think they may not even need the 4. I know that Sully actually has Atlanta take the money line.
Well, they are actually 3-point favorites now. They're actually -3 now. The Falcons are.
They're minus now?
Yeah,
they're in one day. Like yesterday, they were +4.
Yeah, no, they're a -3 right now. At least according to ESPN, their line is at Atlanta -3. Is what I'm.
Well, I know that basically you got Matt Ryan has been throwing for 350 yards a game and 4 touchdowns. He's got the bad luck of having lost both those games, but I think he's going to light up that Bears defense. And I don't know, as much as I like Trubisky, you and I have talked about this, I actually like his skill set. I don't think he's the type of quarterback that can go blow for blow with Matt Ryan in that offense. We're talking Ridley and Julio and Gage. I just don't think that he can. They don't have enough weapons. The Chicago Bears are a team that wins 14-10 games, that wins 18-13 games. They don't win 42-40 shootouts. So I think they're going to lose pretty heavy to the Falcons.
No, I agree, but I agree for different reasons. I think that the Bears defense is actually going to hold them to under 20 points. But I think it's going to be 13-0 at halftime. And I think that Mitch Trubisky is going to have a hell of a time against the Atlanta Falcons defense. I think he's going to make them look like an all-pro defense. And then in the second half, we're going to get Nick Foles. Nick Foles is going to come in down 17, and the Bears are going to end up losing something like 17-13. And Wayne, the Bears are going to start their run with Nick Foles starting next week.
See, I disagree. I don't think Nick Foles may get in at all this year.
Oh my God! Have you watched any of these games?
Yeah, I know you want it to happen, but
have you watched any of these games?
Yeah.
The Bears game. Mitch Trubisky has been absolutely trash, with the exception of about 5 minutes in each game. They give me flack all the time. That's why he said 7-minute Mitch, and which 7 minutes Mitch is going to show up, because that's all he gives you in a game. And last week it was the first 7 minutes, and they jumped out to a 17-point lead, and they held on to it because he was hot garbage ever since. He's not going to have a good week, and Nick Foles is definitely going to be in. If he doesn't play this week, he'll definitely be the starter by start of next week for sure. So, all right, moving on. We've got the next game here is Rams and Bills, and this is an interesting one. Both teams 2-0. Both the Rams are 1-0 away from Los Angeles. The Bills are 1-0 at home, so something's got to give here. And the Buffalo Bills are 2.5-point favorites. Who you got?
I have the Rams. I said take the Rams and take the points. Obviously, Higbee looks unstoppable as a tight end. He's a guy I really tried to get in fantasy this year, and somebody grabbed him right before me. He's a really, really, really good tight end. And that plus they have the 2 wide receivers, Woods and Cooper Kupp. I mean, you don't think of them as big names like Julio or DeAndre Hopkins, but every game I watch, they have 7 or 8 grabs. They catch everything. And Goff is actually a really good quarterback. I think he had a bad down year last year. I like the backfield. I like Brown. And I like Akers. As far as who are they playing at the Buffalo, I love watching Josh Allen throw the ball because it's amazing to see a tight spiral go 75 yards. Mm-hmm. But it usually goes 75 yards into the dirt or the ground. He completes 59% of his passes, for his career. This is a guy who's not an extremely accurate. I know he's got Diggs out there, and Diggs is great, and that's a help. I think that their defense is solid. Their running game is okay. But overall, I just think the Rams are a better top-to-bottom team, and that's from a guy who had the Rams at 4-12 is to believe enough in them to put them over the Bills.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I'm taking the Bills, and I'm giving you the points. I'm -2.5 for Buffalo in Buffalo. I disagree with you with Josh Allen. I think that this year he's got, like you were talking about, yes, he's got Stephon Diggs, but he's also got John Brown. And they've got weapons there. They've got a really good run game. They've got a really good offensive line. They've got a very, very, probably the most underrated defense in all of the NFL. So I'm absolutely taking the points. The Rams are always that team. If you remember last year, they started 3-0 and finished 9-7. They are that team that takes advantage of good matchups, and that's what they do. That's all that they do. And so, and if you're talking about a quarterback that, you know, is probably prone to have a bad game, I'm going to take Jared Goff before I take Josh Allen. So I took the Bills, and I'll give you the points. Next game, moving on, we have another interesting one. So we have the Washington Redskins and the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns are
the Washington football team.
The Washington, not Redskins anymore. Sorry. The Washington, not Redskins anymore, are 7-point underdogs here. I'm taking the Washington, not Redskins anymore, and I'm giving you the points. I think they've been impressive, though they did get handled last week by Arizona. I still think the Browns are the Browns. I think the Browns are just that team that's. I don't think that they're ever going to be much more than 8-8, and so I'm very impressed with Washington. I'm not impressed with Cleveland. I'm taking Washington, and I'm taking the 7 points. Cleveland probably wins this game, but they're not going to win it by more than 6 points.
Well, that's why I would take Washington in the points as well. I think Washington could win this game outright, but in the event that they don't, I don't think it's going to be a blowout by Cleveland. I think that Washington's defense is very legit with Montez Sweat and with Kerrigan, and they just get after the quarterback. And if there's one quarterback who's shown that he's not great throwing under pressure, it's Baker Mayfield. If there's receivers who show that they can't catch the ball, it's Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry. So I think that as much as I love the Browns running game, because that two-headed monster is just insane, I think they're going to keep trying to throw the ball. I think that Baker's going to get sacked 4 times, and I think that the Washington football team will win the game outright. But like I said, if they don't win the game outright, that 7 points has got you covered.
Yeah. I just, there's no way I could give up 7 points there. Not for Cleveland. So I think we both got that one locked down. Moving on, we got the Titans and the Vikings. Look, I was a big believer in the Vikings before the season started. I picked them in week 1 to beat the Packers. I picked them last week to rebound from that loss to the Packers. So, you know, the old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's not going to happen.
George W. Bush there.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen a third time. I'm taking the Titans, and I'm giving you the 2.5.
I'm doing the same. We tried to warn you over at Infinity Sports about the Minnesota Vikings. I think we all had them at like 5-11, or, you know, we just said this team is not that good. And you're like, you're kidding me. You guys know what you're talking about. They're just not that good. They still have Kirk Cousins at quarterback. You know, they're not a great team. Dalvin Cook's coming in out of shape because he was holding out and he wasn't working out while he's holding out. So I think that you're going to the Titans now. You got Derrick Henry, who looks like an absolute monster. But more importantly, Ryan Tannehill looks like the most accurate passer in the league. I mean, he's insane. He's hitting all those tight windows. You can't cover a guy any tighter than these guys are covered, and he's hitting them right in the hands. I mean, he looks unbelievable. And I'm not a Tannehill fan. I thought they were stupid to give him that money. I was wrong. Yeah. I'll eat crow on that one. He looks great, and I think the Titans win this one.
He does look great early, and I'll give it to you. I mean, you guys did say that. I do also remember you guys saying that because we did talk about it early, and you guys said there's not going to be any Dalvin Cook, but if they get Dalvin Cook, they're probably a little bit better. They do got Dalvin Cook, and they just – I don't know what it is, man. I know the secondary is young, and they've been getting eaten alive in the secondary. But this team should be better than what they are so far, and they're just not, and it's really surprising to me. You know, it's kind of like your Patriots take. You're over here talking about how you said the Patriots were going to be 11-5, but I remember when Cam Newton got signed, and I said, yep, Cam Newton's going to be the starter. You said, no way, it's going to be Josh Stidham. They're 11-5 with Josh Stidham, 6-10 with Cam Newton, and now you're all boasting. You're all boasting. No, you did. I've got it. On Facebook. I'll pull it up and I will send it to you on Messenger. You said 6-10 with Cam Newton, 11-5 with Josh Stidham. So I don't want you.
I do remember saying 11-5 and Josh Stidham, and I'm still a huge Stidham fan, and I think that he's going to be a superstar in the league. But that said, I don't remember saying 6-10 for Cam Newton. I think that this is an 11-5 team, regardless of which one of them is the starter. They have different skill sets, and obviously Josh McDaniels could utilize either skill set. I also said before the season started, before we really got into it, that Stidham needed one more year as a backup. I thought it was going to be behind Tom Brady. It wasn't, unfortunately. It's behind Cam Newton now. I thought he was going to beat out Cam Newton for the starting job, but I guess he still needs that 1 year. But after 2 years as a backup, I'm telling you, this guy's going to be an absolute superstar. He's the Patriots quarterback next 10 years.
I think he's going to have more than 2 years, because if Cam Newton keeps playing the way Cam Newton's playing, they're going to re-sign him in New England.
No.
Okay.
Unless he signs for $1 million again.
All right. We'll see. All right. So moving on, the next game we have is going to be the 49ers and the New York Giants. This is going to be the injury bowl, I'm going to label it, because the 49ers lost everybody last week. I mean, I think that they are down to family members coming in to try out for whatever positions that they have available, because there is no, I mean, they lost their quarterback, they lost their running back, they lost their wide receiver, they lost their best defensive player, they lost, I think, 4 offensive linemen, including their starting center and their backup center. They are hurting. That being said, they're playing the Giants, and the Giants lost Saquon Barkley for the season. And the Giants, the 49ers don't need their starting cast. I don't need their supporting cast to beat this Giants team without Saquon Barkley. So I'm taking the Niners, and I'm giving you the points.
I'm doing the exact same thing for the same reasons. Obviously, the Giants are just an absolute dumpster fire. I do not believe in Daniel Jones. I have never believed in Daniel Jones. I do not think he's the real deal. And the fact that now he doesn't have a running game to support his mediocre passing, I mean, that team is just dead in the water. And I think that 49ers team, even losing Bosa, their defense is still pretty solid. And so they can lose those offensive players, and that's fine. They still have that solid defense minus a player. I think that they're going to be just fine against the Giants. I will say this. Me and Sully said this in our show, which is, this is not a game you want to watch. You are better off staring into the sun. Like, this is this is poison to the eyes, this game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Buckeye just says, "Hi, I'm back. I needed a better view. Did you finally pull your head out of your ass?" is what I'm wondering. And then TJ Burns says, "What's up, Combs? What's going on, TJ? Glad you're listening." Look, right now, Miami's up 7-0, and they're driving again. So this is an interesting one here. All right, so moving on. Next game, we have got where we go. Bengals and Eagles. This is another one, man. This is horrible football we have this weekend. We've got some horrible matchups, but we got Bengals Eagles. Both are 0-2. The Eagles are really surprising to be 0-2. The Bengals not so much. The Bengals do have Joe Burrow. The Eagles have Carson Wentz, who I don't know about you, Wayne, but I said this the other day on our show. Carson Wentz, to me right now, looks like he's doing things that I've never seen him do before. He's forcing passes. I watched him last week on 1st and 10 inside the red zone, check down a screen pass to the running back and go with his 4th option and throw in between 2 defenders and get picked off in the end zone on 1st and 10. It's not like it was 4th and goal and you're trying to make something happen and you're down. It was 1st and 10, and he's making mistakes. And that's not Carson Wentz. That's not what Carson Wentz does. He fumbles the ball a lot, but he doesn't throw a whole lot of interceptions, and he's been doing that a lot lately too. So on this one, I am taking Joe Burrow, and I'm taking the 5 points, and I feel really good about it.
Well, I think one of the reasons that Wentz is not looking the same is because he got sacked 8 times in week 1, and that may have done something to his brain, so he's kind of rattled out there. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's afraid of getting hit. And I know that feeling. I played a little quarterback in high school. And when I say a little, I mean 1 or 2 games, and they're like, no, this isn't for you. And it was just like you take that snap and you hear the helmets cracking and the game's moving so fast and there's people all around you, and it's terrifying. And when you get sacked 8 times by NFL guys in week 1, it's going to make the rest of your season pretty scary every time you take a snap. So I still think Wentz is a solid quarterback. I still think that Burrow is a rookie, and for that reason, I'm taking Philadelphia and giving up the points because I do not believe in that Cincinnati team.
See, I really like Joe Burrow. I really like, even though they're 0-2, I've really liked watching that kid play the first 2 weeks. This guy's a winner. And when they asked him after the game of last week, he said, look, it's the first time I've ever lost 2 games in a row in my career, going all the way back to high school, and I don't like the feeling. So I liked him to come out and have a chip on his shoulder and to do some good things this week. And I'll take him with the 5.5. They might not even need it. Or I'm sorry, with the 5, and they might not even need it. All right, so next game is the one that Professor talked about before he left. We have the Jets and Colts. This one's a tough one. You got the Colts minus 11.5 right now. Mm-hmm. I can't do it. I can't. I'm taking the Jets and I'm taking the points. I can't give you 11.5 points, especially with a Phillip Rivers led team. I can't do it. So I'm taking the points and I'm running with them.
Well, and that's my biggest thing is that the Colts aren't that much better than the Jets, in my opinion. I mean, I know the Jets are bad, but I mean, it's not like the Jets versus the Chiefs, in which case, okay, 11 makes sense, but it's the Colts, you know? And so I do think the Colts are going to win. They're just not going to win by 11.
Yeah. Dolphins just went up 14-0.
Yeah. The Falcons were up 28-3 in the third quarter.
They were up 39-30 with 2 minutes to go last week. Freaking jackasses. I was so excited because I was like, that whole division is going to be 0-2 with the exception of the Washington, not Redskins anymore, and they're going to be leading the division at 1-1. I was so excited for that to happen. Because
the Falcons and Washington are in different divisions.
No. I wanted because Falcons were beating Dallas and they were beating them good. So Dallas was losing, the Eagles were losing, and the Giants had already lost to the Bears earlier in the day. I'm like, this whole division is going to be 0-2, and the Washington, not Redskins, are going to be leading this division. It's going to be great. But no, the Falcons did it again and gave up a big lead, as they love to do. Anytime I see the Falcons are up big, I'm going straight to my bookie, and I'm putting $100 on them to lose the game. Because at some point, I'm going to strike it rich. I mean, it's unbelievable how bad they are when it comes to that. So, all right. So Panthers Chargers is the next game. Panthers Chargers. Chargers are 6.5 point favorites. I'm giving up the points. I'm taking the Chargers. I'm giving the 6.5. I like the Panthers. I thought that they were going to be better than what people thought they were going to be. But you've got no Christian McCaffrey for 4 to 6 weeks. And for me, that's huge. That's a big game changer for me. So I think the Chargers are going to win this one, and they're going to win this one big.
Well, see, you may not have McCaffrey, but you still have Teddy Bridgewater, who is a legit quarterback. And you know who is not a legit quarterback is punctured lung or rookie. Neither one of them are legit quarterbacks. So that Chargers team, I understand they have a couple decent receivers. The defense has a couple of decent players, but they are not what their record is. They should be 0-2. That Carolina Panthers team is not really an 0-2 team. I mean, that's a 1-1 team. And I think that the whole quarterback thing with Bridgewater, he's legit. He's going to throw for 300 yards against this team. I'd say take Carolina on the money line. Don't even take the points. Just take Carolina at 0. Because they're going to win the game outright. But since you're getting the points, I mean, why not?
Look, I like Teddy Bridgewater too. I think Teddy Bridgewater is the real deal. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't believe in Robbie Anderson. I don't believe in any of his weapons. The only weapon that he had that I believed in is Christian McCaffrey, and he's down for 4 to 6 weeks. So I just can't do it. I like the Chargers too. I like the Chargers more than most. Soup Boss gives me a lot of crap because I had them at 7-9, and he thought that they were going to be 2-14. So.
I'm going to tell you something about Robbie Anderson. You may not like him because he played for the Jets, so a lot of people don't even know who he is. But the guy is a burner, and that means that he pulls the safety over to his side to leave DJ Moore one-on-one, and that's a bad matchup for any defensive back.
Well, I guess we'll see. It hasn't been a bad batch for the defense yet. I mean, they're 0-2. So
they're 0-2, but Bridgewater's playing well. It's not like he's throwing for 100 yards.
Yeah, he's only thrown for 1 touchdown though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I got the Chargers, and I'm giving up the points. Next game here is Broncos and Buccaneers. This one's a tough one for me. Who you got?
This really shouldn't be a tough one. I said take the Buccaneers and give up the points because you're talking about a backup quarterback, and they just signed Blake Bortles to be that guy's backup. And they're down Cortland Sutton. So who's he throwing to? Jerry Jeudy. I mean, you got nobody to throw to. You got Melvin Gordon back there, but Lindsey's hurt. So now the two-headed monster is gone. So you can just load up the box on a guy who doesn't really know how to play quarterback, and Tampa Bay's got a good defense that can load up the box, and their defensive backs are solid, and they have to cover like second string receivers now. Now this is going to be a blowout. I'd say Tampa Bay probably by 14.
You say who's he going to throw to? Jerry Jeudy is a very good option, but Noah Fant is a guy that a lot of people aren't talking about, and they need to start talking about this kid. So far, he's at 9 catches, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a solid receiver, and he's better than people are giving him credit for. That being said, I like Tampa, and I'm going to give away the points too. I really like Tampa. I think Tampa's the best team in the NFC South. I feel like they're the best team in the NFC. So I'm giving up the points and going Buccaneers -6. Next game here is another one that is just, I think it's going to be over before halftime. We have the Cardinals and the Lions. Cardinals are giving up 5.5 points. Who'd you take in this one?
I'm taking the Cardinals, and I'm giving up the points. Unlike you, I am a humongous believer in Kyler Murray. He was an MVP pick for me before the season started. This guy can throw the football as well as anybody. He's got a Josh Allen type arm, and he's only 5'8", and Allen's 6'5" or whatever it is. But he's got that kind of arm. He is extremely mobile, and like Russell Wilson, I call him Russell Wilson 2.0. Now, I'm a basketball guy in the same way that I say that Trae Young is Steph Curry 2.0, meaning that he's a better version of Steph Curry. Kyler Murray is a better version of Russell Wilson. And I think that he's got the weapons over there with Fitzgerald as just the possession receiver when you need him. You got Hopkins, who is the best receiver in all the NFL. You've got Kirk, who is a burner. These guys are legit top to bottom. Isaiah Simmons on the defensive side of things. Budda Baker, who tackles anybody who's near him. This is going to be a really, really not close game. And so I say give up 5.5, maybe even buy a couple extra points against yourself and buy it up to -7.5.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to buy this one up. And the Cardinals, I'm giving up the points. Look, the Lions, a lot of people were high on them. I didn't see it. I didn't see where people were high on them. I know on your show, you guys were high on them preseason. I'll never forget Sully telling me when I said the Lions didn't do anything to get better. I don't see what you see in them. And he goes, except get their quarterback back. Well, that's great, but he ain't got no weapons to throw it to. He doesn't have anything to throw to. And he's still playing really well. Don't get me wrong. They're not losing because of Matthew Stafford. They're losing because they have no weapons around Matthew Stafford. They can't pass protect for him. They can't run block. They can't play defense. This team is atrocious. So I'm taking the Cardinals and I'm giving up the points.
So two-part question about that, because we talked about it on our show. I'm curious to get your take. Does Matt Patricia last the rest of the season?
Yes, because in the NFL, not a whole lot of coaches lose their job mid-season. You have to be extraordinarily bad and have a bad taste with your front office. I don't think that's what it is with Matt Patricia. I think Matt Patricia has a good relationship with the front office. I don't even think that it's Matt Patricia's fault. There's no weapon. They haven't.
He
done
has the worst record in the NFL over the time he's been the coach.
They've done nothing. They haven't given him anything to work with, though. Look, Matthew Stafford could be a top 10 quarterback, but he's not a top 10 quarterback because he doesn't have anything around him. And I know that's not always an excuse. Tom Brady made a career out of being a good quarterback and making something out of the players that are around him that weren't big names. But that's not something that Matthew Stafford can do. You have to build around Matthew Stafford in order to win, and they've had the chance to do so. They even had Calvin Johnson for a little while, and Calvin Johnson and him were great, but they had nobody else, so everybody was double-teaming Calvin Johnson, which is why he retired, because he was so damn tired of being mediocre when they could have been great. They had something great, but they're going to continue. I don't think that they fire Matt Patricia, though, halfway through the season. Maybe as soon as the season's over, but I don't think halfway through the season. I think if anybody loses his job halfway through the season, or even this week, is if the Falcons go out and lay an egg against the Bears and Mr. Trubisky looks amazing or something, then I think that the Falcons will probably fire their coach, maybe at halftime. So we'll see. Why, you think he's gone?
I think he's gone, and our next question was where he ends up, and I think it would be Miami because Flores was a student of Patricia, and so it would make sense for him to go in to be the defensive coordinator. He'll get a defensive coordinator job somewhere, and it would make sense for him to go and work under Flores. I don't think he goes back to New England because I think that Steve Belichick is primed to be the defensive coordinator for that team.
And that's the thing. Patricia is a genius. Patricia is a very smart human being, and he was a very good coordinator in New England. I think he'd be a great coordinator again. I think he'd be a good head coach again, given the right team and the right around him. He's a defensive mind, but he's got no defense with him. So, and that really does not help Matthew Stafford either. They don't really have their offensive coordinator is horrible over there. It's a mess over there in Detroit. So, and I saw that from the beginning. I don't know what anybody else saw in this Detroit Lions team. Michael Buckheiser. Here he is right here. Are you saying Lions win and go 10-6? No, I'm not saying they win and go 10-6. I'm saying that the Lions lose and they finish. Maybe if they're lucky, they get to 6-10. They are not a good football team. They're just not. All right, so next one here we've got Cowboys and Seahawks. This should be the Sunday night game, but it's not because of Packers and Saints. Seahawks are laying 4.5. I'm going to take the Seahawks, and I'm going to give up the points. Look, I know Dak Prescott and the boys came back from a huge, a huge deficit last week against Atlanta. It still baffles my mind that they came back and won that game. But that won't happen against Seattle. Seattle's not the Atlanta Falcons. Seattle's too good to give up a lead. They're going to jump all over them just like Atlanta did, but they're not going to give it up. I see Seattle winning this game by at least 2 scores, if not more.
So I took Dallas in the points, and I think Dallas might win this game outright, honestly, because I think that Dallas has all the tools to do it. Now, I love Seattle, but I also just watched Seattle give up, 400 or 500 yards of offense to a New England Patriots team that doesn't have Ezekiel Elliott, that doesn't have Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup, that doesn't have a defense that features 4 Pro Bowlers. I mean, this is a really, really good Dallas football team. And yeah, they dug themselves in a hole last week and they dug themselves out of it. And you're right, that wouldn't happen against Seattle. I'll agree with you on that. But I don't think they dig themselves a hole against Seattle. And I think that they can end up winning this thing wire to wire.
All right, that'll be interesting. I'm not big on the Cowboys either. I had the Cowboys at 8-8 this year too.
At 14-2.
Yeah. Man, I bet you were upset week 1. All right. So then the Sunday night game, we've got the Packers and the Saints. This is going to be a really good one. And as much as this makes me want to throw up in my mouth, I'm taking the Packers and I'm taking the points. The Packers have surprised me. Why they've surprised me, I don't know. I thought the Jordan Love thing was going to cause more of a rift than it has. They are without Devontae Adams, I believe, if I'm correct. So that does throw a wrench in there a little bit. But Aaron Rodgers keeps finding a way to win, and the Saints are coming off that loss to Las Vegas. I think that they win this one outright, but I think it's a really close game.
Yeah, I have the Packers and the points as well. I mean, really what it comes down to is people who are against Aaron Rodgers. It makes me wonder, what do you think Aaron Rodgers doesn't do well? Because I can't find a single weakness in his game, not one. I mean, he makes all the right decisions. He throws a really tight spiral. He throws an accurate football. He's mobile if you chase him out of the pocket. He has no weaknesses. Now, he doesn't have any weapons. That's the big weakness. But he can do it. That's how good he is that you can give him nothing, and he can still throw for 3 touchdowns a game.
He's a diva, and he's an asshole. So I thought when they went out, instead of getting him help in the first round, they went out and drafted Jordan Love. I thought that was going to be his way of being like, you know what, screw it, I'm done here in Green Bay, get me out of here. And it hasn't been. It put a chip on his shoulder, and he's going out, and he is absolutely destroying teams. Granted, it was the Vikings and the Lions in the first 2 weeks, and now you get the Saints. But I don't know. Until he proves otherwise, I have to go with him. So I'm taking him, and I'm taking the 3 points. So there you have it. We've been through every game now. We are going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we are going to talk some MLB. We've got the final weekend of Major League Baseball coming up here. We've got one division that is extremely close. It's going back and forth between the White Sox and the Twins, and the Indians have even crawled back into it somehow. So we will talk about that right when we get back. Stay with us.
Who think depression means someone is weak? You better think again. Listen, friend, living with depression is when you keep waking up wishing you didn't. Then using all of your strength within to lift that 2,000-pound bed sheet off you, when in reality it's paper thin. Another day begins by looking in the mirror, unclear of when or if those thoughts you hear to It all will ever end, but there's no time for that. You're running late again, so rinse your face off then. Put your car in gear, and here we go off into the real world, where it's time to pretend. Your time to put that plastic smile on again, and pray to God for the strength to pour into your friends, so hopefully they won't see you falling apart within. Because how can someone who needs help possibly be helping them? That's the deception, and it works so well that the perception is I'm living in heaven, when the truth is every breath in hurts like hell. So hello, my name's Charles Cosetti, and I hope you're ready, because I can't do this on my own anymore. So I'm asking for your help with holding something heavy, because I don't want to live anymore. I don't. And yes, I'm a Christian man and understand that maybe I shouldn't swear, but where my mind is at right now, I swear I don't care. I just don't. So forgive me if this is R-rated, but our days are scarred and jaded, and I'm so far from saving that I'm literally saying R, referring to the thoughts bombarding.
All right, so we're back. That was Mises with Repression. And that guy's his messages are crazy sometimes. I just lost a friend of my own to depression a few weeks back, and Jack Sweet was an amazing kid, and you would have never known that he battled depression. And as a matter of fact, I didn't know it until he had already taken his own life, and that's when I learned of it. And songs like that make you just stop and think, man. You never know what somebody is going through. So it doesn't hurt to be kind and watch what you're saying to people, because you never know what they're going through and what they're battling.
Well, you see those. You've seen the memes. I think it's like they have like Chris Farley laughing, and they have like Robin Williams, and they're like, "Make sure you check on your happy friends."
Yeah, absolutely. And that was Jack. I mean, Jack was one of those guys who would make you smile all the time. He had a nickname for everybody. We played a lot of softball together, and he was just that guy, and touched a lot of people's hearts, and it showed with the outpouring of support for him after, which is always sad, because it's just at that point it's just too late. So, but as always, just check on your friends, and if at any point you need someone to talk to, we'd much rather hear about your problems at 3:00 in the morning than to hear that you're not with us anymore at 3:00 in the morning. So always feel free to reach out. All right, so we get into some MLB talk, and it's the final weekend of the Major League Baseball season, Wayne. And I know you're not a huge baseball guy, but look, I'm super excited about what's going on in MLB. This new format, the 8 teams for this year, was a great idea. You've got the top 2 teams in each division, plus 2 wildcard teams in each league. It's going to make for a whole lot of fun. And I'm on record in the National League, so the Dodgers are running away. They've already clinched the best record in the league. They are really close to clinching the best record in all of baseball. But I'm also on record as saying they don't want to see the Cincinnati Reds in a 3-game series in the first round of the playoffs. The wildcard round is going to be a best of 3. The home team, the higher seed, is going to host that series. And the Reds, the Padres, and for me, the Marlins. The Cubs right now, if they had to go and face the Marlins in a 3-game set, which is what it would be if the playoffs started today, the Cubs would be in some trouble. I don't know how much more I can say this, but it's going to be fun. And we're going to get basketball like we got hockey, or I'm sorry, baseball like we got hockey. We're going to get it from noon till midnight of playoff baseball. It's going to start at noon. They're going to have 4 games each day. I think next Thursday is the day where both leagues coincide, where they don't have an off day and they're playing at the same time. You're going to have 8 games that day of playoff baseball. It's unbelievable. I'm really excited about it. Who's surprising you so far?
Yeah, I mean, you'd ask me, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, whatever. When I was looking at surprises, I actually had 2 surprises. I actually went with individual players as opposed to teams necessarily. The 2 biggest surprises I had were Shane Bieber, going 8-1, 10 quality starts, 1.63 ERA, 14.9 Ks per 9. This isn't a power pitcher that throws 98. This is a guy that throws 93, and he has good off-speed stuff.
Right.
And just last year he had like a 3-point-something ERA, and just to come out and completely dominate this year, he surprised me. And then the other one, of course, was Luke Voight. 21 home runs, slugging percentage of .622. He hit 21 home runs last year and 500 at bats. He's got 21 home runs this year and 200 plate appearances. So I mean, this is a guy who was a 32nd round pick. Nobody even knew who he was, playing on this Yankees team that everyone thought was toast because they got so many injuries up front, and he comes out and leads the major leagues in home runs. Yeah.
No, look, for me, I went with teams. I didn't go with players. For me, it's the Miami Marlins, man. I don't know how this team can't be surprising you. They, to be where they are, especially the joke that they were the last few years in Major League Baseball. And then the first week of the season, they end up being the first ones with COVID. They had to sit out a week, get all the tests right, and get there, and then make up those games. And they're sitting here at 28-28, looking like they are going to be the number 2 seed in the National League East. That's amazing to me. I didn't have them in this race. I thought the Phillies and the Mets and even the Nationals were much, much better. I said the Mets were going to be a sneaky good team. They've disappointed me a little bit. The Philadelphia Phillies, I don't know what's going on with them. The fact that they might even miss the playoffs again is astounding to me because they've got a lot of talent. They just can't seem to put it together there. I don't know what's going on in Philadelphia. I'm not sure if Bryce Harper is rethinking his decision to leave Washington, but it is really bad in Philly right now. So the Miami Marlins are definitely my big surprise. My biggest disappointment for me, even though they've turned it on as of late, is the Los Angeles Angels. I had them in the World Series. I thought the addition of Rendon to the lineup with Trout was going to, and not only that, but adding Joe Madden, I thought was huge for them. And I thought they were going to, win the West. I thought they were, Oakland was going to finish second in the West. I thought they were going to battle it out. But I was wrong. They've come back on. They've still mathematically alive for a playoff spot, but it's not looking good. We have one division that is really, really close. And so Minnesota and the White Sox have been going back and forth. And then the Cleveland Indians just came and swept the White Sox and crawled back into this division. They are now 2 games out. The 2 games separate the 3 teams. So Minnesota's up. The White Sox are 1 full game back. The Cleveland Indians are 2 games back. And this weekend is a crazy weekend. So the White Sox play the Cubs in the final weekend of this season. And you have the Twins are going to play the Reds, who are also battling for playoff positioning. And then you've got the Cleveland Indians, who are battling the Pittsburgh Pirates, who just took 3 out of 4 from the Cubs, who are trying to win the division. So it's not like they're laying down at all. So this division right here is up for grabs. Who do you see winning this division?
I said it on day one. I said it halfway through, and I'm going to say it again, and it's the Chicago White Sox. I just think that they have so much talent. They're so deep. The other 2 teams, it's great that they're playing well, but at the end of the day, I think it's stars that win games. And when you look at the White Sox and between, Abreu and Moncada and Anderson, and then you got the pitching staff, I just think that they're a much better star-studded team, and stars are the ones that win games. You don't win games without stars.
Yeah, I mean, I would have agreed with you had they had the lead heading into this weekend. The fact that they're a game down, the Cubs need to win in order to win the division and not have to go, back. And not only that, but they've got a guy who's poised to be a Cy Young candidate in Yu Darvish going tomorrow night. And then they've got John Lester going on Saturday night, and that could be the game that clinches the division for them. So I'm not so sure that's a lock. I think that the Twins might actually take this division. And a week ago, I said that the White Sox were starting to run away with it. It's completely surprising me. The White Sox at one point had a 3.5 game lead on the division, and it looked like it was over. And they've gone cold. So I can't explain why they've gone cold, but they've gone cold. I think that the Indians the Twins playing against the Reds is kind of a tough thing for them too. I think Cleveland, even though they're 2 games out, can sneak in there and win this division this weekend.
Yeah, maybe. I'm still betting on the White Sox. Again, that's my limited knowledge of it, though. Is like maybe it has to go back to me being a kid and being a big White Sox fan because I'm a Bo Jackson, Frank Thomas guy. You know?
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know if the Twins or the the Indians maybe because I like Francona, I really do, and so that's a team that obviously good managers, and he's like Madden, right? He's just a really great manager. He's been there, he's done this before. He's been a wild card and gotten to the World Series, I think. So I mean, he knows what he's doing. So I could see Cleveland, I guess, coming through and taking it, but I'm still good. I don't think Minnesota. I would bet against Minnesota.
Yeah, the White Sox. I picked the White Sox at the beginning of the season back in March to run away with this American League Central in a 162 game season. Then I picked them again when they did the restart and did the 60 game season. Being a game back and having to play against a team in the final weekend that needs to win 2 out of 3 to win their division, I think just poses a daunting task, whereas the Cleveland Indians are going up against the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have been out of it since before this whole thing started. They're not a very good ball club. I think at one point they were like 9-23 or something like that. But they did just take 3 out of 4 from the Cubs. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch. Are you going to be watching any baseball this weekend?
No, not over football. I think Saturday we're going on a family trip and then football on Sunday.
Yeah. And yeah, I figured you would say basketball. I figured you'd say you'd be watching more basketball this weekend because you're a basketball guy. But
not until the finals.
Yeah. So at the beginning of all this, who was your pick to win the World Series?
Well, if you remember, we did a show, the two of us before, and that was one of the questions, like, let's pick teams. And I had picked from the NL, I had picked the Dodgers, and I'd also picked the Washington Nationals. That's my biggest disappointment, by the way, 23 and 28, where we were last in the division. So I'd picked them. And then on the American League side, I think I picked the Yankees and I can't remember who the Angels, who obviously no chance. Yeah. So looking at all of them, I mean, the Dodgers obviously looked great. I mean, that was the easy pick for anybody. And then, I wouldn't be surprised if the Yankees get there. And that's going to get to a question way or no way. We'll get to that. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Yankees win the American League.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Yankees win. The American League, to me, is wide open. I think you've got 4 teams that can really do it. I think you got the White Sox, the Twins, and I think you got the Yankees and the Rays. I don't think Oakland, even though they've had a great run, I don't think that they're good enough to win the American League. I don't think the Indians are good enough to win the American League. And whatever team gets in as the second wild card, whether it be Houston, Seattle, or the Angels, none of those guys are good enough to win the American League. So I would at the beginning I picked White Sox, I picked Cubs and Angels. Right now, if I had to pick again and redo the pick, obviously I'm not having the Angels. I don't even think I'd pick the Cubs. I think that for me it's interesting. I think the Braves are a very interesting pick, who Soup Boss picked at the beginning. I don't know if they have enough pitching. I think that the Dodgers and I think I'd go with the Padres if I had to pick a team right now out of the National League. I think I'd end up with the Padres because I think that they're just playing the best baseball right now. I think that they are young. I think they're talented, and I think that they're hungry, and I think that they could absolutely go out and win the National League. And like I said, in a short series, I think the Dodgers are in trouble against a team like the Reds or the St. Louis Cardinals even.
Yeah.
So.
We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I don't really follow it as closely as you do. Like I said, it's just kind of a casual thing. I check the box score, I check the standings. But I mean, I don't know. I just think the Yankees have all the star power. And I just mentioned stars win games, which is why the White Sox, I picked them to win that division. But I think that that if you go with the Dodgers and the Yankees, I think that would be the 2 biggest star-studded teams. I mean, it makes the most sense.
What do you think would be the most fun World Series to watch?
So, in way or no way, I thought we were going to get into, is the best thing for baseball, San Diego and Tampa Bay. Right. I was going to kind of go into who I think actually, I don't think so. I was going to go into who I actually think would be. But, the most fun, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what fun is, I guess. I don't care about underdogs.
I'd have Padres and White Sox for most fun. When you're watching 2 young, scrappy teams that play baseball and have fun while they're playing baseball, I think that they'd be the most fun.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, fun is teams that have guys that throw 100 miles per hour. That's fun to watch. Guys who hit 50 home runs. That's fun to watch.
Yeah. All right. So you're Yankees. So then Yankees and Dodgers would be fun for you.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
A bunch of home run hitters, a bunch of 100-mile-per-hour pitchers.
All right, guys. So we're going to take another quick break, and when we take a quick break, when we come back, we are going to get into some basketball and some hockey real quick, and then we will get to way or no way. So stay with us. We'll be back here in 30 seconds.
Bombard my brain, man, it's like this. I'm in a relationship with self-hatred, it's sick. And I wish I could explain the twistedness of my heart and my soul screaming, live! But still being drowned out by one little whisper in my mind. Quit. Yeah, quit like your father did. You're done, son, another rerun. I'm your fake too, boy. I'ma break you and take you from your family like I did him. And that'll make two. But today you're gonna listen. I'm sick of your lies no more. When you say no one will miss me when I die, I'm sure the pain of living inside this war is way less than quitting when my family left crying at the morgue. So the war's on and I'm no longer concealing you, and I am no longer healing you with a mask and vast array of legal drugs and gloves dealing that I'll take just to deal with you. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real with you, and what people do or say to me is.
All right, guys. So we're back. So, look, you're a basketball guy, and the playoffs are going on right now, and it has been crazy for me. I'm following. I'm starting to get back into basketball just a little bit. I did not see, and I know you didn't see this before the series started. I did not see the Miami Heat being up 3-1 on the Boston Celtics at all.
That was going to do anything special. I mean, in fact, even watching the games, it looks like Boston's the better team. I mean, for 80% of this series, Boston has beaten the hell out of Miami, but they can't close it out. They blew 2 fourth-quarter leads. They should be up 3-1, and it just so happens that Miami's closing it out. And I still think that Boston is the better team. I still think that Boston is the better coached team. I think that Boston is the more talented team, and I still think Boston can come back and win this. I mean, if the Denver Nuggets can win back-to-back 3-1 deficits, then the Boston Celtics obviously can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. I thought that getting Hayward back was a huge deal for them, as they showed in Game 3. But look, I've said it since the series started, and after they took Game 1 and then took Game 2. I was like, man, I wish the Bulls could get a guy like Jimmy Butler. I was like, but they'd trade him away for a bag of basketballs. Oh, wait, But look, Jimmy Butler looks insanely good. This hero kid, who the hell is it?
Well, and let's not, dive off the deep end here, because I saw a lot of people being like, Tyler Hero and how great he's going to be. Yeah, he had 37 points. He looked really good.
Yeah.
Do you know what he scored the game before that?
I have no clue.
Nobody does, because he just scored 37 points. So who cares what he scored before that? But the reality is, the regular season, he averaged 12 points per game. He had a good game. And so I call it the Steve Avery effect. I mean, you and me are the same age pretty much. You remember when Steve Avery in the Atlanta Braves, 1990, and everyone's like, oh, Steve Avery. Everyone wanted to get that Dunross rated rookie card, right? Because it was like Steve Avery was the man. Yeah. And it's like, Steve Avery had a good postseason. That's it. Tyler Hero's had one good postseason game.
And then now when you talk about the Atlanta Braves, you're like, yeah, they have Maddox and Glavine, and who was the third one? Nobody ever remembers that it was Steve Avery.
Well, I don't think Avery played with Maddox, did he? Because it was Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz, and then it was Smoltz, Avery, and Glavine.
I thought Avery was there at the end.
Maybe because he went to Boston as a free agent, but anyways, the point is, it's you get all hung up on a postseason. It's very caught up. Was it prisoner of the moment? And you see Tyler Hero score 37 points. You're like, he's Luka Doncic. Whoa, no, he's not.
Yeah, no, not at all. But look, he had a nice game. So you think that the Celtics can come back? So you don't think this one's over in 5?
Nope. No. It could be. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because, like I said, the Celtics don't seem to have it together. But when you watch them play, they are the better team on the court. I mean, Jason Tatum is the best player on the floor. I know Jimmy Butler's having a great series, but I would take Jason Tatum 10 times out of 10 over Butler. Brown's looking solid. Kemba Walker has not looked great. but he is really great. He's just not been playing up to his level. Marcus Smart is just balling out. I mean, he's playing, leaving it all on the floor. And I know he yelled at his teammates after that second loss in a row and like was throwing stuff around the locker room.
I was just going to ask you about that. Like, do you think that had a positive effect or a negative effect on the team? Because they did come out and win game 3 after that.
It depends on what happened after that. I mean, that in itself, in a vacuum, I think had no effect. But it's what was the aftermath of that? I mean, did they get together the next day and he was like, listen, guys, sorry I lost my cool, but listen, here's the reality. We need to step it up. Because I've been on teams where that happened and, where I've always been the team captain. And I'll get guys together and I'll say, listen, we need to not play like that ever again. Like I was pissed at the end of the game. I'll message the guys after the game. And then when we get together the next game, I'm like, listen, guys, this is what we need to do to avoid that mess. So if they had a conversation like that afterwards, that may have been why they won game 3 because they had that constructive conversation afterwards.
Yep.
But his passion needs to be infectious. I think everybody else needs to pick that up. And it looks like some of the guys out there aren't playing with the same intensity that he's playing with.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting series to watch. For me, Miami's clicking on all cylinders right now, and I just can't imagine them dropping 3 straight, even as good as Boston has been. So I think this one's over, whether it's over in 5 or 6. If it goes 7, though, I might change my opinion, but I think this one's over in the next game or 2.
Well, you say they're clicking on all cylinders, and yet they went into 2 fourth quarters back-to-back with 15-point deficits. The last game they only won by 3 points, and then they lost the game before that. So it isn't exactly, like I said, for 80% of the series, they might be clicking on all cylinders, and that should be scary for Miami because they've been clicking on all cylinders, and yet they still look like the worst team out there.
Wow. Yeah, it's not wrong. All right, so what about the other series here? This one's interesting too to me. So the Lakers gone in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs and dropped the first game surprisingly, and then just went out and blew teams out. They could very easily be down 2-1 in this series. So do the Nuggets pose a real threat to this Lakers team?
No, it's gonna be a 5-game series. This series is over with. And I said the same thing last series when they went down 0-1. I said 4 in a row. The series before that, they went down 0-1, 4 in a row. I mean, this Lakers team is the best team in the NBA. They've been the best team in the NBA all season. And they show it. When they want to play, they've got 2 of the top 5 players in the league on their team. And the last time that happened was probably Kobe and Shaq. And what happened with them? 3 championships in a row. So right. I think that this is the team of destiny. Nobody's going to be. I'd love to see a Celtics-Lakers finals, but whether it's the Celtics or the Heat, it doesn't matter. The Lakers are going to take care of the Nuggets in 5 games, and then they'll take care of the Eastern Conference champs in 5 games.
So does Anthony Davis stay?
Oh, boy. I think it's even money. I really do. Because I think that they win. So he gets his championship. He has no other reason really to stay unless he wants to win multiple championships, I guess, and whoever else they bring in. But we had this conversation earlier. I said it depends on what teams around the league did. I think the Chicago Bulls, your team there, hiring Billy Donovan, awesome hire. That is an awesome hire. And I think that increases the likelihood of him going back home.
I think that's the first thing that they've done right in probably the last 10 years.
No, I'm not saying that that's the reason he's going to go back or that he will, but I think that if you're the Bulls and you want to make a push for Anthony Davis, that's a really good move, is getting Billy Donovan as a head coach.
Yeah, and that front office has been a mess, and nobody wants to come play here. So I'm with you. I like the Billy Donovan hiring. I think it's a good move for the Bulls organization. Man, I just can't see a guy like Anthony Davis saying, yeah, all right, Billy Donovan's there, now I want to go play there. I can't see any big name saying, you know what, I'd really like to go play for the Bulls and Billy Donovan right now. Do they build around Levine?
So that's the other thing is that, I think they want to because he is a star. I think that he's a star player if he can stay healthy. Okay. But because of his injury concerns, if I'm them, I'm keeping my ears open because you also have Wendell Carter Jr. You've also got Colby White. You've got Markkanen. Right? These are all really young players. And you just brought in basically a college coach who did well in Oklahoma City, but he's a college coach. And now he's coaching college-age guys. So if somebody wants to offer you a top 5 pick for Zach LaVine, I think you take it.
If you're the Bulls and you look at Zach LaVine, do you start having flashbacks of Derrick Rose if you try to build around him?
No, because Derrick Rose was just a freak injury. I mean, Zach LaVine keeps having it reminds me more like Ken Griffey Jr., how he injured his wrist and then he injured his knee and then he injured his ankle. He just had injuries. Whereas Rose, as soon as he lost that explosiveness, he just became an average player.
Right. All right. Well, I guess we'll see. Look, I'd be I'd be ecstatic to see the Bulls back to prominence. I think they're quite a few years away, and maybe even the next coach after Billy Donovan might be the guy to lead them there. Because I'm not a big believer in Gar and Pax and those guys. They seem to always make some stupid move that's like, why are you doing this right now? So,
well, I mean, if you think about the Boston Celtics brought in a college coach, their best player was a 5'8" Isaiah Thomas, and they had 3 first-round draft picks and said, "Hey, trust us." You know,
yeah.
So I think the Chicago Bulls. I mean, you bring in a guy who's essentially a college coach with a young roster. If they buy in and they can get one more young piece for Levine, it might be shorter than you think. I mean, Brad Stevens went to playoffs as like a 3 seed his first season.
Yeah, but the Celtics front office and the Bulls front office of Gar and Pax can't say, "Hey, just trust us," because nobody trusts them anymore. They've lost that trust. That's the problem.
Well, the Celtics couldn't either. You have to remember, Danny Ainge offered all 3 of those first round picks for Justice Winslow. So the Heat saying no actually makes him look smarter.
Yeah. Good point. All right. So then I know your boy Sully is a huge Lightning fan. I know you're not very big on hockey. I am. I've been watching this series, and Dallas, they surprised the hell out of me in game 1. Then they surprised the hell out of me in game 2. When the Lightning jumped up 3-0, I thought the game was over. I thought it was going to end up being a 6-0, 7-0, maybe 7-1 game. And they held tight, and they, lost that game ultimately 3-2. The Lightning did destroy them in game 3. I don't see this series being over just yet. I think Dallas can absolutely come back and make a series out of this. I think this one goes 7, and then in a game 7 in the NHL, anything can happen. I know your boy Sully probably thinks that it's over. I don't know if you've talked to him about it, but I know he's big on his boys, but I think that they might be in a little bit more trouble than they realize.
Well, he said it's over, and he says has it had anything to do with being a homer. He said, they really should be up 3-0. If you think about like that first game that they lost, he said there was a point where the Stars had 4 shots on goal and they had 3 goals out of it. Because that doesn't happen in the NHL. He said the Lightning hit the post 5 times or something like that. Because they hit the skates twice. He goes, it doesn't have the Lightning is, even though they lost that game, they had the chances to be a better team in that game. They win the second game. They win the third game in a convincing fashion. He said, basically going into the series, he said it was going to be a 4 or 5 game series, regardless of whether it was the Stars or the Knights. It didn't matter because Tampa Bay right now is the most talented team and they're playing the best hockey. He said, so the Stars just got lucky game 1. He said, but expect the next 4 games to be Tampa Bay.
See, I think the Lightning are a lot like your boy Sully. Okay. I think that they look good. They should show up. They might show up, and then right there at the end, they're just going to be like, they're not there, and then try to apologize for it, and it's not going to work. So that's where I think that they're at, and I think that the Lightning are in trouble. I think Dallas can absolutely come back and make a series out of this and go to 7.
What do you think about Stamkos coming back and scoring a goal his first game?
Probably. Stamkos is an elite. He's a top. I'd say he's a top 5 hockey player right now, and so it would not surprise me at all. For me, it's Stamkos. It's the kid over Ovechkin, and then I'm a big Patrick Kane guy, obviously.
Oh, Connor McDavid.
Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid is probably the best player in the league. So I think, but Stamkos is right up there. He's a top 5 player in the league, and so I would not surprise me at all if he comes back and scores a goal in his first game.
Well, he already did. That's what I'm saying. Last game he scored a goal. It was his first game back.
Oh, see, I missed it. I didn't even realize that.
And so that's why I was saying. So basically, you get this Tampa Bay Lightning team that's been steamrolling people all through the playoffs, and you just added one of the best players in hockey to their team who's healthy now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but Dallas is that team. Every time we count them out, we counted them out against Colorado, and they went out and beat Colorado. And then we counted them out against Vegas, and they went out and beat Vegas. And now everybody's counting them out against the Lightning. So it would not surprise me, especially in the NHL. All they need is their goalie to get back to what he was, in those first 2 rounds, and they've absolutely got a chance.
But I would say that counting somebody out isn't the same in all situations. In the sense that I'd say this, you're like, well, you counted us out against the Cleveland Browns. Now we're playing the Chiefs, and you're counting us out. Well, yeah, it's the fucking Chiefs.
It's a little bit different. I mean, the Vegas Knights are a really good team. The Colorado Avalanche are a really good team. And the Dallas Stars kind of came out of nowhere. So be more like the Browns saying, well, you counted us out against the Jaguars, and now you're counting us out against the Bills. I think that's more of a fair comparison.
Wow, I'm going to tell him you compared the Lightning to the Bills.
All right, so you guys know what that sound means. It's time to play our favorite game.
No way. Yes way.
It's way or no way. This is where we give you a bunch of statements. We either give you way or no way, or Wayne G gives you kind of way every damn time that we played this game. So here goes nothing. Way or no way, Wayne. We're going to start off here with baseball. We touched on this a little bit earlier. I was asking you about who you thought the most fun would be. My first way or no way is the best thing for baseball this year in 2020 would be a Padres versus Rays World Series. What do you think?
Absolutely no way. Positively, without a doubt, no way, not even close, because the best thing for baseball is to get the most popular teams into the World Series so that people actually watch the World Series. You get the Padres and the Rays, nobody's going to watch that. You might watch it, Sully will watch it, but most people aren't going to watch that series. But you get the Yankees and the Dodgers, LA versus New York, probably the two most merchandise sold teams in all of baseball, the two biggest fan bases in all of baseball. That's what baseball needs, especially in a shortened season. You want to see the two most popular teams playing each other. You want to see ratings of 26 million people watching, not people tuning out to watch Game 3 of the Lakers blowing out whoever wins in the East.
See, I think this is absolutely a way. I think the best thing for baseball is for two small market scrounging freaking two teams that just go out there and are dirty and play hard-nosed baseball. And that's what these two teams are. They're young, they're talented. Their whole thing right now is let the kids play. They want to get younger generations to start watching the game again. And this is how you do it. A Fernando Tatis in the World Series, it would be an amazing thing for the game of baseball. He could absolutely be the face of baseball if it wasn't for a Mike Trout. And if baseball actually did well at promoting a face of the game. So Fernando Tatis, to me, is definitely a name that you can put in there. And then the Rays are just a great story. I mean, granted, they never really, draw well, but they don't have to draw well this year. They're going to be playing in a bubble anyway. There's no fans in the stands anyway. And they're playing very good baseball. I think that the Tampa Bay Rays versus the San Diego Padres would be a great World Series. I would definitely watch. I know Sully would watch. Baseball fans in general would watch that World Series. I know a lot of people had a problem a couple years back when it was the Dodgers versus the Astros. It was like, oh, who wants to see the Astros in the World Series? And then the Astros end up taking them to 7 games, and it's one of the best World Series I ever watched. And that's coming from a Cubs fan who had just watched the Cubs win it in 2016 in a great World Series against the Indians. That 2017 World Series was a classic. And so I would absolutely believe that this would be a great thing for baseball to have a Padres versus Rays or even a Padres versus White Sox type World Series.
They would capture the over 55 demographic for sure. But I think that what they're trying to do is get the younger audience and kids like the Dodgers, kids like the Yankees. LeBron James roots for the Yankees. You get the Dodgers with Mookie Betts. This is big and it's good for baseball. What's not good for baseball, even if this is the best 7-game series, let's say you have Tampa Bay and San Diego, and it's the best 7-game series ever. They all go to extra innings. They're all decided by 1 run. I mean, it's just a phenomenal Atlanta Braves versus the Twins kind of World Series, right? Nobody's watching it, right? So what good is it? How does it help baseball? It doesn't. Having the best World Series ever doesn't help baseball unless people are tuning in. So
I think having your younger players in there, though, does help you. I think it does help with the younger demographic because the younger people that are watching the players that are full of the flair, which is like a Ronald Acuna Jr. in Atlanta or Fernando Tatis in San Diego, Javier Baez in Chicago. I think that guys like that, you got Luis Robert and Tim Anderson on the south side of Chicago. So I think that the younger generation does care. I think that they would watch if it was something like that. I think where they would tune out in the younger generation would be a Yankees and Dodgers World Series. I don't think that they care about watching a Clayton Kershaw pitch or watching, the younger nobody's really. I don't see a whole lot of people talking about a Cody Bellinger. Mookie Betts might be the biggest name there. The Yankees, they're just that team that everybody hates, so nobody really wants to watch the Yankees outside of New York anyway.
You think that the younger generation is tuning in to watch the players? Nobody's tuning in to watch the players. Major League Baseball doesn't promote their players. And the LA Dodgers have a 350 million person fan base. So do the Yankees. Tampa Bay and San Diego combined probably have 5 million fans. So I'm talking just in terms of ratings. Like I said, you could have a 4-game sweep, all of them 22-0, totally boring games. I guess that wouldn't be that boring, but totally crap games, right?
Yep.
And it would have better ratings with the Yankees and the Dodgers than the San Diego Padres and the Tampa Bay. And if I'm Major League Baseball, I don't care how bad the baseball is. Ratings are better for me than good baseball with bad ratings.
All right. I disagree, but that's nothing new between me and you. Disagreeing is something that we do quite often. We do agree a lot, but disagreeing is definitely something that we do, especially when it comes to baseball. All right. So the next one here, we've got college football back. The Notre Dame just had to cancel their game because of positive COVID test. So USF, who they just played, is canceling their COVID test. But the SEC is back. And so, look, I get great. The SEC is back, but I get Alabama versus Missouri on Saturday night. The SEC has this thing where, for whatever reason, people are like, oh, the SEC this and the SEC that, and this is the SEC, and the SEC is the best thing in the world. Play some damn games. So I ask you this. The SEC absolutely needs to start playing tougher schedules, way or no way.
First I want to say that Missouri's in the SEC, so that's a conference game. It's not like they're playing an out-of-conference powder keg. But Alabama does play some, like, Arkansas states. It's like they do play some tough ones. So that saying, I'm going to say absolutely way. But I'm going to take it a step further. Not just the SEC. All the big schools need to play more competitive games. And I think of way back when they had NCAA 14, I think is the last game that EA Sports came out with. And you could customize the schedule for every team, not just your own. And I used to go in, I would say, who was the top 25 the year before? And I would make the top 25 teams all play each other that season. And then the following year, whoever was top 25 to end the previous season, they all had to play each other the next season. And so that way you had Ohio State not only played Michigan and Michigan State, but they were playing, Alabama. They were playing, Florida. They're playing Miami and UCLA, right? And so all the top schools played each other. First of all, it's better for ratings. But secondly, I just think it gives you a better idea of who the best teams are. So if Alabama goes 10-0, I mean, who cares if they win 4-0 against out-of-conference teams that are Division I AA, and then they go 6-0 within the conference, which Missouri's in the conference. So I don't want to knock that Missouri game because they do have to play those conference games. But I think their out-of-conference games definitely need to be a lot tougher.
Yeah, but if you're going to play a conference game, I mean –
you'll play 9 games against Florida?
Well, yeah, but I mean, instead of starting out against Missouri, why not play against Florida? You don't play Florida at all this year in your schedule if you're Alabama. Alabama's got Mizzou, and then they got Texas A&M, and then they got Ole Miss, and then finally they play somebody and they play Georgia, but then they play Tennessee, and then they play Mississippi State, and then they finally play another game against LSU, but then they get Kentucky, and then Auburn, who they always find a way to beat, and then Arkansas to end the season. Like, it's just so – I mean, you're playing against – you can only play SEC teams, and they went and found the bottom of the barrel of the SEC to play, with the exception of 3 games.
I would say that their schedule is tougher than any team in the Big Ten. Big Ten just said they're going to play, but their schedule is tougher than pretty much anyone in the ACC, better than Clemson's schedule. Who are they playing? Duke? Are you kidding me? The high school teams around here could be Duke. I mean, North Carolina, who's maybe back when Lawrence Taylor played.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. I mean, who I guess they're all right, but Boston College. So the ACC is much weaker than the SEC. Can you imagine Clemson having to play LSU, Ole Miss, Georgia, Auburn? No way. They'd be 5-4.
I'd love to see something like that. I mean, obviously, we're in different times right now with the whole COVID thing, and they're taking a step and only playing conference games and all this other stuff. But I just feel like the SEC, like if they weren't forced to play conference games, the SEC like this week, Alabama would be playing like Jones State of Blindville, Louisiana or something. Like they play so many power puff, and then they would play obviously their annual game against like an LSU or Georgia. They do play one or two of those games a year, but 9 out of their 11 games are usually against really, really bad competition.
Well, I'd say it's an incorrect statistic because I think they have to play more conference games than out-of-conference games. So I think they play
but the conference games are always against like Tennessee, Mississippi State. They don't never really do the whole Alabama versus Florida, Alabama versus Georgia, Alabama versus LSU, Alabama versus Auburn. Those 4 games should be on their schedule every year.
They play always Georgia and Auburn every year.
They play Auburn every year. They don't play Georgia every year.
I believe they're both because the SEC is split into 2, right? Like the SEC East and West or something like that.
Yep.
And they have to play every single team in their division. I didn't know if Georgia was in their division or not, but I knew obviously they play Auburn every year because they're in the same state. So they play every year. But it's either Georgia or LSU. They play one of those teams every single year. The SEC is tough. And I understand what you're saying, that out-of-conference schedules in the past have been powder puff. I've seen them play, Buffalo Tech or something.
They play LSU every year. Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M are all in the same division.
There you go. So they got to play those teams. So LSU and Auburn, they play every single year.
Yeah, but Auburn's Auburn. I mean, Auburn's not they're not a powerhouse team. They're not. I mean, they haven't really been that great since Cam Newton.
I don't know about that. Didn't they beat Alabama like just 2 years ago or whatever it was?
They may have. I mean, Auburn's that team that just they can sneak in there, but they're not. I want to see them play against Florida. I want to see them play against Georgia. I want to see them, play these teams that they should be playing. There's 4 really good teams in the SEC, and then the rest are like the rest of the conferences. I think that they're You got your Florida, your Georgia, your Alabama, and your LSU. After that, I mean, give me a name that really sticks out to you that contends every year.
Well, I mean, give me a name besides Clemson and Florida State in the ACC that contends every year.
Man,
and Florida State doesn't even contend every year.
right. But they also, I feel like they play tougher schedules. I feel like they take on more because they have to get into, Florida State plays Florida every year.
Yeah, because it's one of those Florida games there they have to play. It's probably some sort of like Iron Bowl or something.
Florida State tends to play Notre Dame a lot. Florida State, I mean, they play a lot more tougher competition than the SEC does when they go out of conference. They go out of conference. The SEC tends to look at Division II.
I say you turn your nose up at Missouri, and I say that's the number 2 team in the ACC.
Really?
Yep.
I don't know. I disagree.
Okay.
All right. So moving on, the next one here is staying in the college thing. We're going college football is losing its allure.
Did it ever have allure?
I mean, I look forward to college football every year. I mean, I'm a big Notre Dame guy, but I look forward to it every year. It always usually kicks off the week before the NFL season does, or 2 weeks before sometimes, and then you got your Saturday game, you got your Thursday games, and especially as the season goes on, you really get into your big matchups like your Alabama versus LSU and that type of stuff. So I thought, I think it's got a whole lot of allure. I think they draw well. I think they make a ton of money, and which is a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I think it's got a huge allure.
See, I think that their demographic is the same demographic that watches baseball, right? It's the people who grew up in their home, and Saturday was football day. You sat down with dad. He had a TV dinner. You'd watch 3 college football games, right? That's kind of what you grew up doing. But the kids these days, they don't care. They didn't grow up in that environment, because the kids who were kids in those houses then who hated their dads making them watch college football, they grew up and said, I'm never making my kids watch college football. So those kids grew up not watching college football. And so that's one aspect. I don't think that college football has an allure any more than baseball does. It's a dying kind of thing.
Yep.
However, on that note, their college football playoff numbers TV wise, have gone up every single year except for that first year they did it when everyone was really excited about it.
Right.
But other than that, it kind of went down that second year and then it started to go up again. So there is more interest in college football when you get to the playoffs, not the stupid Cotton Bowl and that crap, but like the actual college football playoff, which is why they should expand the playoffs to 8 teams and not just 4, because that's your moneymaker right there. But that's what your average fan is interested in. Your average fan isn't interested in not even Michigan State, which is a great rivalry. Your average fan doesn't even care about that game.
Yeah, I see. I think it's losing its allure. I think that, like, for me this week, you know what's funny is that, so college football started this year, and I'm sitting there and I'm, talking with my kids and I'm playing around, and all of a sudden I see this thing flash across the screen, and it was college football scores. I'm like, wait, college football started today? I didn't even know. I didn't even know the season had started. That's how little that they've promoted playing this year. So yeah, I think it's losing its allure. I think it's losing its fans. I think this COVID-19 thing is horrible for college football. But yeah, I think that, in a few years, people aren't really going to even care about college football, with the exception of who's coming out in the draft.
Well, and that's where I think that they're running into a rock and a hard place, right? Is they need to do the same thing that Major League Baseball needs to do, which is do a better job marketing your players. Players sell. When you tune in to NFL, you're not only looking at fantasy football league, right? You're like, oh, is Jonnu Smith playing today? Is Josh Jacobs playing today? You want to see certain players play.
In order to do that, you need to change your damn rules.
Exactly. You can't market the players and not pay them for it. Mm-hmm. So just tweak a couple of things, because that's going to help college football. Say, hey, Justin Fields, whatever it is there, Trevor Lawrence, we want to put your face on this week. Hey, Trevor Lawrence is playing against whatever, and we really want to market you. And for that, we'll give you $1,500, $2,000, whatever. Allow
them to get endorsements in college. Allow them to do the things that they're going to do in 2 years when they go to the NFL anyway. College football needs an overhaul. They need these stupid rules to just go away. So yeah, no, I agree, but I definitely think it's losing its allure. All right, so next one, again, staying on college football here. The Big Ten plan of 9 games in 9 weeks to get a playoff bid is not going to happen with COVID-19.
No way. I think that it is going to happen. I think college football has done a really good job so far of keeping everybody safe. And I think that's why the Big Ten came back, because they said, hey, we can do this, right? So they're going to follow their lead. The path has already been blazed for them. They don't have to blaze their own path. So just follow what everybody else is doing. They'll get 9 games in, every team. Whether or not that leads to a playoff berth, that's up for discussion. But I think that all the teams will get 9 games in.
9 games in 9 weeks is going to be really tough. And here's why. I just talked about it a little bit earlier. Notre Dame just had to cancel their game this weekend because of some positive COVID-19 results. And these are college kids, and college kids are going to do what college kids do, and they're going to do stuff when they're not playing football. And so, whether or not these positive tests that Notre Dame is getting are kids showing signs, or they're testing positive, but they're, asymptomatic or whatnot, it doesn't matter. Once you get a positive test, you're done for the week. So I think 9 games in 9 weeks is not going to happen in order to get these guys into a playoff picture. I think at some point they're going to have a hiccup. One of the teams is going to end up with a COVID test, and it's probably going to be one of your bigger Michigan or Ohio State teams too, which makes it even worse for the Big Ten.
See, but I thought that was going to happen when they first started the season, week 1 or week 2. I thought it was going to happen. Didn't happen.
Well, Notre Dame just played 2 weeks.
Well, Notre Dame's in a little bit different situation too, because they're not technically part of that ACC conference. So now they're in the middle of America and they're transferring over to the East. All these other teams are playing within a radius of each other, and Notre Dame's kind of flying out and flying back and flying out and flying back. So not only are they competing against those teams, that's not where the COVID comes in. It's the airports and the multiple people that are handling your bags, the transportation. That's where they kind of run into it. So I think that, the Big Ten, as long as they all stay within a vicinity of each other and they're not traveling across 10 states, they should be fine.
Okay. All right, so the last one here is kind of one we touched on earlier when we were talking about football. And this one here, the Atlanta Falcons fan base is the most disappointed fan base year in and year out no matter what, is the Atlanta Falcons fan base. Way or no way.
So no way. This shouldn't even be a discussion. They're not even in the discussion for the most disappointed fan base. Let me tell you what happened since 2015 with the Cleveland Browns. We're talking 3-13, 1-15, 0-16, 7-8, 6-10. How about their first round picks? Well, they traded a first round pick for OBJ. That worked out great. They drafted Corey Coleman, Johnny Manziel, Justin Gilbert, Brandon Whedon, Trent Richardson, and Barkevius Mingo, all with first-round picks after those disappointing seasons. I'm sorry, but if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, you, sir, are the most disappointed fan year in and year out.
Have the Cleveland Browns ever blown a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl?
Not in their 0-16 season or their 3-13 season. So.
Did the Cleveland Browns just blow a 29-10 lead to the Dallas Cowboys?
Nope.
the Atlanta Falcons fan base, year in and year out, they have hope. They've got a lot of talent. They've got a really good quarterback. They've got a defense. They've got a run game. They've got two really good wide receivers. And every single damn year, they do this. Cleveland Browns fans know that they're Cleveland Browns fans. They expect that they're not going to be very good.
Baker Mayfield was the Messiah, right? He was the one that was going to lead them out. Remember, they were the sexy Super Bowl pick 2 years ago when they went 6-10.
I think people outside of Cleveland made it that because I think it would be a great story. But I don't believe for a second that Cleveland Browns fans thought that. I'm a Chicago Cubs fan, and even in 2016, even when they were playing very well and they were headed to the World Series, I said, "There's at some point here they're going to disappoint me." I expected it. Because they're the Chicago Cubs, and that's what they do. And the Cleveland Browns fans are no different. Cleveland Browns fans expect to be disappointed every year. And Atlanta Falcons fans, they don't. They expect to contend. They expected that when they were up 28-3 in the Super Bowl, that they were about to beat the New England Patriots and Tom Brady and win a Super Bowl. And it didn't happen. Last week, up 29-10. Hell, up 39-30 with 2.5 minutes to go. 99.9% chance to win the game. And they blew it. And they lost. The Atlanta Falcons are absolutely the most disappointed fan base year in and year out.
So you're saying that the Cleveland Browns, despite being the saddest team in the NFL year in and year out, they don't give their fans a reason to be disappointed because you
Exactly.
Right. Now, you know who I think is the most pleasantly surprised team year in and year out?
Who's that?
The New England Patriots. Because living here, I swear to God, this is no joke. Because if you don't live in New England, trust me, everybody around here every offseason is like, Belichick doesn't know what he's doing. He didn't sign any big name free agents. Yep. And then they go 11-5 and they go to the Super Bowl. And then the following year, Belichick doesn't know what he's doing.
You know what my favorite thing to do is, Wayne? When a Boston team loses a big game, or when they do something, or when they look horrible for a short period of time, my favorite thing to do is to tune into Boston sports radio and listen to the fans completely do a cliff dive because that's what they do every time. I remember a couple of years back they went 0-2. Right? They started out the season 0-2, and they said, Brady's done. We need to get rid of Brady. We need to let Belichick go. He's done. They're past their prime. They just need to go about their ways. And what did the New England Patriots do? They finished the season 12-4, and they won the Super Bowl. So New England Patriots fans are the biggest high and low fans. New England fans in general are just they're here, and then they're here, and then they're back here, and then they sway so much. And I love listening to it because you guys win so much. I love listening to it when you're down. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying about the Patriots is that they always think that they're down, and it's never as bad as they think it is. I'm like, you still have Belichick as the head coach. Like,
yeah. I said it for years. I said it must be nice to have God on the sidelines and Jesus Christ as your quarterback. It must be a great feeling. So, all right. Well, we're about out of time here. Why don't you tell the people at home where they can find you?
Yeah, if you want to tune in on Mondays and Wednesdays, 7 p.m. on Facebook, we are on the Infinity Sports page. We are on the RTF Sports page, soon to be the All ACCS page. We are on our YouTube, and also just visit the website, infinitysportspodcast.com. It'll take you everywhere you need to go. You can interact with us, and you can watch all the shows, and you can even download and listen to all the shows.
He said All ACCESS page. All right, so All Access Sports is definitely coming. We got about another week before we launch that, but that's got some good things. We've got some shows coming from the West Coast that are interested in joining. We've got a bunch of other things that are happening, so we're excited for that. Thanks, Wayne. Thank you for joining us. Joining me, I should say, and giving the fans something to listen to other than just myself for 2 hours. I appreciate it, sir.
Hey, no problem.
But yeah, and you go ahead and tell your buddy Sully there, I will not forget him.
Okay, I will mention it to him. Well, I mean, you just said that the Tampa Bay Lightning are like the Buffalo Bills, so I think you got him back. Huh?
Yeah. All right. Have a good night, guys.